السلام علیکم. حلقہ رومی و اقبال میں خوش آمدید. ملے ہیں ہم کو آبا سے جو موتی علم و حکمت کے، ہمارا فرض ہے پہنچائیں ان کو اگلی نسلوں تک. The topic for this session basically is ilm, knowledge. I will try to deal with this session partly in English, partly in Urdu, so that everybody that I see as my audience can benefit from whatever I have to kind of convey. So, topic for this particular session is ilm, knowledge. As we all know, when our beloved Prophet received the first revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it started by saying, Iqra, read. So, during the life of our beloved Prophet also, we were told repeatedly that we must gain knowledge. Now, to give a little concept, a basic concept of knowledge and what we are expected to do in our life, let me make this particular session fairly simple. We must acquire knowledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the source of knowledge. All knowledge belongs to Him. He gave whatever He gave to Adam alayhi salam to show His superiority over the other creations of that time, which included jinns and angels. At the beginning of human history on earth, basically all the souls were created earlier, of course, but when Adam alayhi salam was to be created here with a physical body to be grounded on earth, then knowledge basically was the measure used to show the superiority of humankind above other creation. Now, we have knowledge as human beings. To make it very simple, if one goes to the literature in spirituality and in Islamic scholarship, one sees that most mufassirin, most people who have explained the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala using their own judgment, using their own creativity and using their own comprehension, they have given different types of knowledge. But if you were to really capsulize it, summarize it and make it simple, then basically you will understand that there is one knowledge that we get from our books, schools, teachers, other people around us, that we acquire knowledge from the created world, and that particular knowledge comes on handy in us making a living, having a potential to earn and have a fairly decent life where we can provide for ourselves and our families. There is another knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to whosoever He wants to give at whatever quantity He wants to give. That's called given knowledge. And for that, the examples I can use is wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the divine message that comes and is given to His selected people, the messengers, through His angel Jibreel. There is another way of giving that information coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to His chosen people, and that comes as ilham, or something that comes to these people from the divine source, but it comes directly without any intervention, and it's only very limited basically for a specific purpose, and people get that kind of a indication. One can easily connect that with how Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam used to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he was separated from his father, and how he was basically guided along the way, although he had not declared his prophethood at the time, but he was being guided as to when and where to do what. I'm just using that as an example for people that know the story of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam that is in the Quran. So that is a given knowledge, and that can be taken away. I can give you an example also. I can have 50 people sitting in front of me, and I can put $20 in my pocketbook here, and I can tell the person sitting in front of me that politely, quietly, I can go to and whisper in his ears that I'll ask you a question, what do I have in my pocket? All you have to do is say, you have $20 bill, and I'll show it to everybody, and I'll make my point. So this is what happens. So the whole congregation is listening to me, and I'm talking to them, and suddenly I say, does anybody know what I have in my pocket? And people don't know. And then I say to this one, do you know what I have in my pocket? And he said, yes, you have $20 bill. So I take it out and I show it to them. And I said, this is the knowledge he had that was given to him by the source. So when you get a knowledge from the source, here we are talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that knowledge, of course, is limited, and he only knows that. If I ask him what I have in my pants pocket, he won't know. He'd only know what I told him. Similarly, this is the example of given knowledge that some people do have, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to run his universe, and he has his ways of doing it. And then there are other similar things, but one has to realize that even in Al-Quran, the knowledge that is in there is comprehensive and profound, and yet even the best of the best scholars cannot say that I fully understand what this particular verse means, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may have put more profound meanings into that, which only his chosen people or selected people do understand it. Others may not be able to. Others may not really be able to go that deep in that meaning. So even in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَفَوْقَ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ, and there is always one person who knows more than the one who thinks he knows. So there is always that possibility. So when we talk about something from the divine book, or even on other Islamic or spiritual matters, we should always leave room by saying that this is what my understanding is, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Maulana Rumi knew this very well. So every once in a while, when he talks about very profound subjects, he ends up by saying that wallahu alam bil-sawab, and beyond this I cannot say anything, so Allah knows best. So there is that then room left for somebody else who can come up with a better explanation of whatever you had explained from a verse of Al-Quran or from a hadith. And then you are at least not saying something that is wrong. Of course, you're not lying, but you may be misinformed or ill-informed or partially informed. You may not have comprehended everything fully. Now, let me use the verse, in a poetic verse from Rumi, to make my point about ilm, as to what ilm is. Rumi says, ilm am bashid ke jaan zinda kunat, mardra bakiyo painda kunat. He says, ilm am bashid ke jaan zinda kunat. Knowledge is that what makes your spirit go alive, makes your life becomes much more apparent to you. In other words, knowledge is that which really brings in the hidden life, hidden secrets from your life, and makes you an alive person. Basically, he's saying this is the one that really awakens your heart and makes you use your heart to see the things around you much better. So eyes of your heart can see things that eyes on your face cannot. So this knowledge that really awakens yourself, your heart, that is really a true knowledge, and one should try to seek that. He says, Mardra bakiyo painda kunat. That particular knowledge makes the man perfect and eternal and forever alive. So that is the kind of knowledge that will actually give you a life that is eternal. Now, here obviously is touching upon a subject, and that is the subject that Iqbal has covered beautifully in his verses relating to this subject, whereby he says that you have to connect to your heart internally, develop your spirituality, which he calls khudi, your spiritual being, connect that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and get the light from him, get the knowledge from him, and you are connected to the divine knowledge, to the divine being, through that particular that awakened heart. And that is the heart that really then connects you to your Creator. Then you realize what job you have to do, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses you to do his work for him. And in this world then you can live forever. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to awaken our hearts, open the eyes of our hearts so that we can see our purpose of life. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum.